Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Find out better to suffer than to live under it. I never wanna be just fine and no way. I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm never gonna be this fine. There are times I need to remind me. I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm never gonna be this fine. I know I say my best days are behind me. I don't wanna be lukewarm again. There is a summer, it's all the time, every one of us. There is a summer, it's all the time, every one of us. There is a summer, it's all the time, for every one of us. There is a summer, it's all the time, for every one of us. I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm never gonna be this fine. There are times I need you to remind me. I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm never gonna be this fine. I know I say my best days are behind me. I know I say my best days are behind me. I know I say my best days are behind me. I never wanna be lukewarm again.
What's up, everybody? So today I have someone who has been a vital part of my life when it comes to music and growing up with music. And he actually has his own section in my music collection because he's been a part of so much along with his solo stuff. But Jonah Matranga, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Hidden Tracks podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm giving you a little soundtrack.
I love
Loving
it.
the intro. Really happy to be here, man.
Well, I slowly started to say how important you were to my life, and the fact that you have held this huge grasp over me with your not only sincerity in your music, but your willingness to accept anyone and everything when it comes to the sounds you create. And to me, that's played an important role in my life. And there's not a moment that goes by that I don't think of something that you've been a part of. So I just want to say thank you for what you've provided to the universe and to my ears and my heart. And just thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you, man. I feel like we listen to and love music in the same way because I'm very familiar with those feelings. And the fact that anything I've made is a part of those feelings for you is just, it's just the fucking greatest. Music has been my best friend, my confidant, my everything for a long time now, and it's really nice to talk to people who clearly have that feeling as well. So, yay, music!
Yeah, well, and that's
kinds
part
of it.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest part of music for me is it's the constant that I've been able to trust in my life.
Yes,
It's always there to lean on, to pick me up when I'm feeling down, to bring me down when I need to calm down.
That's right.
And I can always trust it. I'm never disappointed. Yes, I've been disappointed in hearing some shitty music at times, but at the same time, it's something different, right? And it's something that maybe I wasn't ready for at that moment. I mean, I'm going to just scrub an entire genre out like a bubblegum pop country, but like everything else has always just been there to lean on. And I've just being able to have that in my life is probably, next to my family, the most important thing I have.
I love that. I could say all that similar stuff. I would even go so far as to say that the disappointment, I mean, of course, not all music is gonna sort of work for me or be, whatever it is. And I tend to think that doesn't matter what the genre is, bubblegum, country pop, it's not my favorite genre around.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I've heard bangers,
There is some redeeming
I'm not
qualities.
a big Swiftie at all, but those first couple singles of hers, that she wears short shorts, that thing, that's a fucking bop, man.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's all about, well, I mean, it's just the endless metaphor for life. It's about finding the brilliance and what connects with me and trying to let go of all the filters that I might have that might keep me from connecting with as much as possible. And at the same time, understanding that there's some shit I just don't respond to, something that's not for me. It might be for someone else. And then there's the stuff that's for me. And that stuff is my best friend.
That's a fact. I mean, and that's the kind of thing that I think music allows us to have, is a lot of times listening to something and feeling that it was created just for you.
Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful feeling. It's pretty amazing. I love that. Any piece of art. I was just listening to RuPaul's new memoir. It's called House of Hidden Meanings, and it's really fucking good. And for anyone who just thinks of RuPaul, it's sort of like a Prince thing. If you just think that RuPaul's sort of like a flashy, sort of gender bending, whatever, I guess that's true, but there's really so much more there about empowerment in life. And so anyway, I was reading this book, and there's so many parts of RuPaul's life and the things that they love and all that stuff. And I have this feeling, like you're saying, of like, I feel like he's talking exactly to me right now. And it's just there's something so, and I know I'll probably never speak a word to him in my life unless I get to guest host on Drag Race, which is my number one fucking dream right now. So anyone listening that has any way to get me closer to that journey, I would be so psyched. Anyway, but I don't think I'll ever, the point is that you and we may never, hang out, and I may never hang out with Rue. I may hang out with Neil Young or and Prince is gone now, I'm so sad. But, Bjork or whatever, like people who I really adore. And I feel like they're family because of the stuff they make. It's just true. And again, if I can feel like family to anyone else in that same way, seemingly the way I've connected with you, without even hanging out, that is so powerful.
That's what when you feel like you already know the person, right? And that's where, sometimes we talked about prior to hitting record, the fanboy love. And I've always kind of tried to make it a point when I go to a show, which I go to and countless shows a year, when I do have an opportunity to go up to the artist, I just tell them thank you. And you mean so much. I mean, I saw you at Mercury Lounge. That was the most recent time. And at that moment, I didn't have an opportunity to say hello. There's a bunch of people, and I was just like, you know what? I know my time will come with Jonah at some time. So I'll use that when I have that opportunity. But it's always I get to stand back and watch someone that I admire and make me feel a certain way as you have in my car or in my home or anywhere. And then when I get to see it performed live, it's just that it makes me feel more connected. And I'm like, well, yeah, no, he's just my bro now. Like,
that's it. That's it. We're just hanging out. And that's the thing. We don't even need words. And words are great, and physical proximity is important. And there's all sorts of ways of connecting. And what you keep pointing to, which I just adore so much, in a way I feel very connected with you, is that there is no need for us to talk. I mean, this is fun to talk right now, and that's cool. Yeah. Because we're both doing what we love. You're interviewing someone and talking about music, and I'm talking to someone about music and having someone pay attention to anything I've ever done. And so we're both in this happy place. And similarly, if I'm on stage and you're in the audience, we're in the same place because we're in the place of loving music. And to me, any musical connection that there is, doesn't matter how big or small a show it is, doesn't matter if I know the artist or not or anything like that. It just matters that we're in that same strange space that clearly you know so well. And the sincerity, I think, is the way there, the way you're speaking with me and the way you just told that story. I can think of so many people, artists who I love, who I've met over the MPJ Harvey, Eddie Vedder, Tom York, just sort of Ice Cube, Ice-T. So many memories come to mind of people whose art I admire, and I've gotten to be around them. And the words we exchanged were in some ways ridiculously superficial and whatever. But for me, at least, they were imbued with sincerity. And as far as I could tell, those artists, those people, those creatures could feel that. And it, in particular, had an exchange with Tom York once where initially I tried to be all cool about it. And he didn't respond at all. He was kind of a dick to me, but I didn't blame him. I immediately didn't blame him because I thought I wasn't giving him real, so I didn't get back real. And then I kind of flagged him down a little bit later. He was very wary, but I just hit him with the full sincerity, just the actual what was in my goofy little fanboy heart. And he gave me the hugest hug and smiled. And it just reminded me once again, over and over and over, stay being myself. I don't know that everyone will like me or whatever, but the people that do, at least they didn't fall in love with a weird facsimile that I created for someone to sort of enjoy. At least they're into me.
That's the important
part. That's what
part.
Sincerity is. That's what it gets you. And that's what that place is being with each other with no bullshit walls and rock star this and blah, 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 that. Just people hanging out. Again, no matter how big the venue, no matter how famous, it's not about that. It's about a childlike, before all the adulting bullshit place that we can get to that is just so lovely. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you bring that childlike, and it's, I've said it a couple times on the show, one of my favorite things that I live by is I want to be childlike without being childish.
That's right. I have a similar axiom, which is be serious enough to have fun. Yeah. And it's, I love that. And yes, childish and childlike, it's a beautiful semantic distinction. A lot of times when people talk about sort of being a man or being a woman, the qualities that they're talking about, I generally find to be the positive ones, like the negative ones, i.e., be tough, be a man, all that bullshit, or be really polite and sort of gentle and forgiving and all the things, and all these things we call female. As far as I can tell, the good shit is just being a grown up, being mature, being
Yeah.
present with someone. It actually has nothing to do with calling oneself a man or a woman or what, genitals or whatever people get so uptight about. It's just about showing up and being, as you say, childlike, as in innocent, as in non-judgmental, as in just present and playful in that way that we all know kids are, before we ruin them. But not childish, which is selfish, which is, that's when men are stupid and fucking tough. And that's when women kind of like fall into this, like, it sort of inauthentic place trying to please people, and they're hurting themselves. And so there are these childish ways to be, and we don't want that, but we do. I want to stay childlike.
Yeah.
So I love that distinction. I'm going to keep that with me.
Good. We're talking about connections, and I mean, the fact that music is such a huge part in both of our lives. I mean, what do you remember what you connected to that kind of led you to the path of like, all right, well, now I'm never leaving this?
I mean, when it comes to making this stuff for a living and doing what I do, there was never a lightning bolt moment. And that's actually one of the things I'm the happiest about my musical life, is that there was never a desperation to do this. There was never I don't know what I'll do if I don't do this. There's a million things I could think of to do in the world. Be an activist, be a teacher, but it doesn't matter. Again, it matters about, I could be a plumber, and if I'm still living with the joy I'm living with, then I'm having a joyful life. It doesn't matter. And by the way, plumbing, for all I know, is inherently joyful, but it seems like a fucking hard job. But I would imagine that a plumber who really loved systems the way I love music would just get so much joy out of that. So whole thing is, I never hung my hat on, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I have to be this. I do remember a lot of music was, I think, a very, very safe place for me as a child, and there weren't a lot of safe places in my first 10 years of life. But I do remember the hippies would hang out and play guitar. And so looking back, I think that was a big place that I would keep returning to for safety, is just being with a guitar and some sweet friends. And then I remember, there's music I remember hearing. I remember this Jackson Browne song that started a record called Late for the Sky, I believe. And I believe the first track is called The Road in the Sky, maybe. And just the first lyric is when I come to the place where the road and the sky collide, or maybe it's when you come to the place where the road and the sky collide. I didn't know what the fuck was that, but it was such a simple, powerful visual that it just felt like adventure to me, and the way the song sounded. And so there's a lot of comfort and freedom that I remember being associated with hearing music. And I remember specifically in high school, and so cliche, but on a rainy day, listening to The Who, Love, Rain or Me, and couldn't be more sort of cheesy high schooly, but it was so fucking profound. And I remember thinking, I like music better than I like people. And I felt very ashamed of that for a while, almost kind of closeted about it. And I think it's been a lifetime of growing into that. But looking back, if we're talking about a lightning bolt moment, I feel like that might have been it. And it wasn't about whether I was going to make music or what. It was just an acknowledgement that there was something about music that helps me interact with and digest the world. Good, bad, like you say, it lifts me up when I'm feeling down, it levels me out when I'm feeling kind of manic. It just, that's the moment I can remember around music. I never had a moment of, I'm going to do this for my life. And I remember selling a car so that I could, but even that was an experiment. I sold a car for $4,000. It let me live for a year. And I thought, if I can figure out within this year a way to make this at all sustainable, this music thing, then I'll keep going. And if I blow through all the money and then just don't have a car and have no money, then that will be a pretty good indication that I might want to look for something else to do. Because I think, I really, not to get woo-woo about it, but I think when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I get some green lights. And I think life tries to give me red lights when I'm headed to a place where I'm not supposed to know. I choose to not pay attention to them all the time. And, it's very dangerous to think about life in such a symbolic way, because then I start second guessing myself and all that. It's a real gut thing. But anyway, it really is just that year selling the car. And at the end of it, I had figured out a way to make a little bit, enough to cover my $150 of rent, a month. So it wasn't much, but I found little ways. And so becoming a working artist has been I don't think it's ever done. I don't want it ever to be done. I don't ever even want to be a professional. I just want to be someone who loves music and is fortunate enough to be able to trade my time making it and my ideas that I've made for money. And that's how I get to keep living in this system we've got. And it's a very simple thing. So it's not I'm not super passionate about my identity about being a singer. I'm just super passionate about music, and even beyond music, I'm passionate about everyone finding the thing where everything goes quiet and the world goes away, and somehow I'm allowed to feel things more deeply and also to let go of things a little bit more at the same time. It's just a magical thing. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Well, it's that moment that I look at, that when I hear something so profound, or someone when they're talking to me and I can understand where they are at that moment. And you were bringing up the visuals and seeing things, and that's hearing a song and you can automatically create the music video in your head of what's going on. Like and most of the time you're your own star in your own music video. But
yeah.
it makes you, I don't know if I have, other than, the love of my beautiful wife and her warm embrace, I don't think I have anything else in my life that can just make me smile and forget, and I don't like to use the word escapism, but to escape a literal reality that you're living in everyday life. It's when I get in the car and I put music on, and now I can just escape the world for a little while.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying, is that it's somehow I'm more deeply connected to life, even as I get a healthy separation from the machinations of the world and my feelings and however anyone is behaving. It somehow happens at the same time. And a simple way I think of it often is where that thing of, like, I can't put it into words, that's where songs come in. That's where the melody comes in. That's where the rhythm comes in. That's where the sound, the feel, the vibrations of music, of anything, of sound, literally, they shake us up. And it's a physical thing that's happening with music. It's not just the scenarios that you're inventing and being the star of our own video and the whole thing. It's a whole thing that's happening that is beyond words. And so I love that you mentioned your wife, the embrace of someone, that nonverbal, we are just animals here kind of thing. And I don't mean that, sex is great and all that, but I don't mean it like that. I'm a big fan of non-sexual touch. I'm a big fan of just fucking hugging someone and being held and letting go. And that is what it is like to be in the middle of a fantastic song. Yeah. It's just a big rad hug where it's just like, I'm fucking safe. And it's just, there's no feeling like it. I think it can be found, again, in many, many ways. And the embrace is a common way that I really adore with the right person. And music is clearly a way that I adore. And also, I mean, I'm looking out my window right now, and what I'm proposing is that there is always a song happening, literally and figuratively. It's just about paying attention and listening for the melody. And I don't mean to be all like faux poetic. I really mean that. Like, I mean the wind through the trees. I've got headphones right now, so I'm hardly hearing the outside world. But,
But you can hear it through your eyes.
well, yes, for sure, 100%. And my body is processing temperature and sunlight and all these things that we're doing as these wild creatures we are. And also, you and I right now, for me, we're making a song. We're improvising a song. It's called a conversation, but we're improvising a song. And anyone who's ever studied language knows that our language isn't very different from birdsong or anything like that. And in fact, the words we're saying often aren't even that as important as the tone, like literally the music, the musical notes we speak are what make up a lot of our communication, and whether it feels safe or not safe. It's the raising one's voice thing. It's the speaking really softly like this, or really fucking loud. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's all music, and I just adore that. And so
It's a beautiful way to look at it. I mean, the best kind of days are the days you wake up to music, and that's not to a fucking shitty alarm, or
that's right,
it's you hear the birds chirping. That's your first song of the day. It's going to
Right.
be a good day.
right,
Because you hear it, you can hear the wind blow. It's music. It's, those are things that I listened to and had on CD when I was in high school to help me, wake up or fall asleep, was, water crashing or the wind blowing. And it's
hell
just,
yeah, hell
it's
yeah,
always around you. And it's
yes,
just taking the time, the saying, take the time to smell the roses. No, take the time to just live and take in what's around you, and turn it into music, because it'll be beautiful.
yes. I mean, and that's it. It's perfect. I mean, obviously, "Smell the Roses" is the one that's said all the time, and it's a perfectly fine statement. And I do adore literally smelling flowers when I pass them, because it's a fun way to notice all of the little wild mysteries that I will never understand. That, in fact, by the time I go to look at the little bird, it's gone. By the time I go to smell the rose, it maybe doesn't smell quite as, whatever it smelled the last moment, because everything is always shifting. And so, but in this metaphor that we're using, just take the time to listen. If I wake up and I'm, plagued, waking up is a tough time for me sometimes. And if I'm plagued by these thoughts of, fuck, what am I getting, how am I going to get all this stuff done today? And, oh my God, I've got that coming up. And, oh God, I'm so sad about that stupid fight I had a couple of weeks ago. All of these things, if I can just acknowledge them like little cranky children running around my brain and be like, okay, cool. Hello. Hi, thoughts. And then just listen. Even and especially when it's really silent, I hear the whir of something. I hear a little, maybe a little bug buzzing around. I hear a bird outside. I hear feet padding through the house somewhere. And all of a sudden, I'm not being drowned in thoughts of the past and the future. And it's as simple as listening. And I think the only thing about the roses thing is it suggests that the rose is the reason to smell it because it smells so good. And that's cool. But what I'm saying is that it's all a fucking rose. It's the beauty is in the listening. The beauty is in the smelling. And it doesn't matter what the object is. And that's what music taught me. For sure. Music was the first lesson in this is, I'm here to experience this life, not to judge it or control it or whatever, which I have really trouble doing outside of the context of music, but music helps.
Well, thinking about that, and let's use music as our rose.
Sure.
The fact that, I mean, it kind of seems like your sense of smell will never go away, because
smell is actually to hear the biologist talk, is the most evocative sense we have. It's the one that cuts deepest into my childhood. If I smell maple sugar, I'm immediately in Vermont eating maple sugar candy. It's deep, 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 deep. And in fact, I'm a
But that's
real
what
fucking
music. That's what music is. For music's my time machine.
well, yeah,
I,
no,
yeah,
totally. And so music is obviously super powerful. What is neat about the smell thing, though, to whatever degree that's true, that and this is just scientists talking, and I choose to kind of believe people who have studied their whole lives, so I'm curious about it. At least I don't take it on as whatever scripture, as it were. But I did find out that evolutionarily, when we were coming up from sort of the mud, literally and figuratively, we were initially basically one big nose. It's kind of like how we ate. It's how we experienced where to find nutrition, how to survive, all of this crazy shit before there were any senses or ears or mouths or digestive systems or limbs or any of it. And yeah, so it's a really neat thing of the primal thing. And to your point, forget about the ears part, because it's tempting to think of that we're actually hearing a sound, but that's just a word. What's happening is that a vibration, literally an air like a fucking pocket of air, some wave that we can't even see, is hitting these bizarre little hairs apparently in my fucking ear canal and making a message. So it's actually not hearing a sound at all. It's feeling a vibration, literally. And as stupid as the word vibration has become in our culture, like good vibes, brah. But that's what we're made of. So anyway, ears are, and listening is so primal. And when we hear a chord or a fucking drop that we like, I just think it's somehow getting to our wiring in a way that I'll never understand. But just the way a big fucking drop D chord sounds, I mean, fuck, it's just power. Yeah. I'm going into drop D as we speak.
Yeah.
Just had to.
Now, hearing that and having that powerful sound for me, and looking back at your career and finding you when I did in the early 90s, you came up in an era of you were grouped in with the other, Sacramento bands, but everybody, you were so different. And you also came up like right when that grunge was falling off a little bit.
Yeah.
But every band that you were kind of, I guess, lumped in with, which is like a Deftones,
Yep.
Will Haven,
Sure.
Quicksand, like you were always lumped into this pocket. But the music you created was so, I felt how different it was, even though people were lumping you in with stuff. How did you find that way to kind of make yourself a little different? Because I'm sure you guys were all listening to kind of the same stuff and creating the same ways, but how did you differentiate yourself from the other groups you were playing with and going around with and always around?
A thing, I love that whole thought and wondering about it, and it's perfect timing, of course, as the world works. This is a thing that RuPaul has really taught me a lot about, and has expressed it artistically and just in the way they think about life and talk about it. It's really helped me because I realized pretty early on that I wasn't as talented as a lot of my friends in a lot of ways. They could play guitar better than me. They could play drums better than me. They could sing better than me. They could sort of the skills part of music wasn't really, I didn't find a lot of joy in it, and I didn't experience myself to be particularly notable when it came to it. And so much so that in the middle of high school, I went through a time period where I knew that I couldn't trust my friends and family to ever tell me whether I was good or not, because they were always going to be trying to be nice and who knows what. And I had to figure out for myself that I was doing something worthwhile. I didn't know what it was. And that time of reflection, as young as I was, I came out of it knowing that maybe I wasn't number one, but I was kind of one of one. And I had my own little voice. I had something that I did that felt unique and worthwhile and fun. and I liked making the noises. And I have since come to believe that people aren't even attracted to the sounds I make in a lot of ways. It's like a cat video on the internet. Like they're just attracted to seeing a creature do what it loves. And so from a very early age, I was kind of focused on that. I just kind of thought, if I love this and if I believe in my little spark, it doesn't need to be like anyone else. It doesn't need to look like anyone else. It doesn't need to sound like anyone else. And it doesn't even need to be liked by anyone else. I just have to keep alive this knowing that who I am and what I'm doing is worthwhile. And so when I got with the Far guys, I was playing acoustic guitar the whole time and doing the songwriter thing, really inspired by Tracy Chapman and Suzanne Vega and these kind of East Coast. I was in Boston at the time, and these East Coast happened to be women, and both kind of like sort of, androgynous in their different ways, women. I don't even know actually how they refer to themselves, but I was very inspired by them and how raw that stuff was, and how I loved Zeppelin too, and I loved Halen, and I loved I was growing up in Boston. I was in love with Aerosmith when they were an actual rock and roll band, and the fucking Cars and the band Boston. I mean, I was sort of growing up, and then there was Mission of Burma, and there was this band O Positive that I really loved, and there was this great hardcore scene, Slapshot and Gangrene, and so there's all this stuff going on in Boston growing up. And I took it all in. It was all the same to me. It was all whatever gave me that feeling. And by the time I got through college and was meeting the Far guys, I would say the thing we all shared was Zeppelin, in the sense that they were a rock band who had these acoustic parts, had, really short little blasts of songs and these ridiculous epics, and just kind of seemed to do whatever the fuck they wanted. And so we could all agree on that. And then after that, Sean was much more into punk and hardcore, sort of Bad Brains and Victory stuff at the time. And Chris was 15. Chris and Johnny, Johnny wasn't even in the band yet. Malcolm was the bassist then. Malcolm was into kind of prog rocky, smarter, more cerebral shit. Chris was, he was into like Primus and high school tunes, just sort of like rock. And he didn't know, he was fucking 15, didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I brought a more sort of songwriterly, I wanted a rock and roll band, a heavy fucking band, like a band capable of producing big amounts of noise and I wanted that band to want a singer who was not a typical rock singer. I don't think, whatever Far didn't do commercially, I don't blame myself for it. And at the same time, I know that if I had played more a typical dude rock singer, we probably would have had more widespread commercial success. I remember so many times playing with other bands, and the actual music it was different because like the music maybe itself was actually kind of similar, but the singers were very different than me. And even more so, the things they said and the way they presented themselves on stage were so different than what I was doing. The tone was different. They were much more tough. They were just tougher. And I never felt at home in that tough kind of masculinity. And so I think that's the heart of the difference that was going on. And that's all I can really track, is that I was a fucking weirdo. And
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
just in terms of, I don't mean like weirdo, like it's a bad thing. I just mean, given what was being presented as options for viable fronting a rock band performance and vocals and ideas, I was doing something that I didn't know other people who were doing it. I found it a little bit as we went along. I remember hearing Sunny Day for the first time and thinking, oh, wow, that's family musically. And there were Sensefield
Yeah.
There
John
were
Bunch. Yeah.
a band called The Start and Human Waste Project, fronted by a lady called Amy Echo, who's just the fucking best. And so anyway, there were bands that were floating around, and hardcore bands like Strafe and Snapcase, who again we couldn't be more different than. But going back to earlier in our conversation, there was a feeling there that I was chasing, and that has been my North Star forever. And it's just that feeling of letting go. And anyway, it was not really a time for that. I mean, grunge was really big, which is, this sort of like dour fucking roar. And post-hardcore, and punk and sort of, which at one point was a relatively androgynous thing, is sort of morphed. Hardcore was this hyper masculine thing, generally speaking, and real tough guy thing. And so it's not that. Yeah, I just knew that what I was doing was different. That's all I can say. I'm not trying to be better than anybody. Like it's not anything like that. I just didn't know another way to be. And it goes back to RuPaul that if I wish anything, it's that I'd had a little bit more of that self-belief, because I was very insecure for a lot of years, knowing that I was doing this differently than a lot of my peers. And I wasn't able to step into that, except for the fact that I had this little gem that I'd created within myself where I really believed that what I was doing was worthwhile. And that was all I needed to know. And so that's all that was fueling me. And the Sacto scene, bless it, was fucking weird, because we were playing with Deftones one night, but we'd be playing with Cake the next night. And then we'd be playing with Little Guilt Shrine the next night. And all these, Tiger Trap was living in Sacramento at the time. There's a great female punk band on K Records. And so there was all this shit happening, and Kevin Seconds from 7 Seconds and all his other amazing projects was doing shit. And there was this vibrant local scene and a great all ages club called the Cattle Club, where that was right in between the burbs and downtown. And so there was room for everyone. And I really believe that if I had started out in a bigger city with more competition and more pressure to fit in and to do that, I don't think it would have gone well for me. And I still think that's why, one of the reasons why I've said no a lot to opportunities that might have taken me into more of the mainstream, not out of any sort of judgment, although I have plenty of those, but more out of frailty, that I just had this instinct, like, I'm not going to fucking survive that. And seeing what's happened to Cornell and fucking Kurt, of course, and fucking the Linkin Park dude, and the
Chester
Stone Temple
Bennington.
Pilots dude, Chester, and fucking who's the Stone Temple guy,
Scott Weiland.
Yeah, Weiland, Scott. All these. It's just like
Taylor
it's so
Hawkins.
sad.
Like,
It's so sad. I can't even remember all the names of people who've been eaten up by this. And then, then we're talking about Bonham and Janis Joplin and Hendrix and fucking Prince now, and Tom Petty's gone now, and they were a little older, but they were fucking dead before they should have been. And
the fact that you can realize that in your, I feel
very fortunate. Yes, I feel fortunate that I had a sense of that very early on, that I was trying, and we were on Sony and shit, we were trying to do a thing. We were making videos, and whether it was shooting myself in the foot or what, I don't even know, but I don't think I was ready for any more large scale money and scrutiny and pressure that larger success would have brought. And I still feel a little bit ashamed saying that, but I also think it's why I'm here talking to you, and I'm still happy and healthy.
Well, and I said it at the beginning of the show. I think what truly set you apart, and the fact that you could realize something in yourself, but I had said your sincerity and honesty in your music.
Yes.
And that's what set you apart, and you were doing something different.
And that's exactly it. That sincerity and that honesty. Emo wasn't a word yet. When I was first called the King of Emo, it was 97, I believe, in a magazine. And it was, all of my friends laughed because they're like, how are you the fucking king of something that no one's even heard of? Like, that's hilarious. But so for me, emo was that was where I found a lot of company too, because it was a haven where it wasn't just the dour, sad, stereotypical emo thing that people think of now. It was all the feelings. It was being silly and weird and shouty and whispery and all of it at once. And all of the music I've ever really, really fucking loved has that capacity where it can go lights and darks and louds and softs. And I love it so much. And that's it for me, is just having the whole sincerity. Doesn't mean, I think sincerity can tend to mean this very maudlin, I'm so fucking sincere and earnest, which I've definitely been in different times in my life. Again, these are insecurities that I've had to grow out of. But that joy was not fucking allowed in 90s post-hardcore and sort of riff rock. That wasn't allowed. The men were dour, fucking angry, at the very least, just kind of disconnected and ironic, and I don't give a fuck, and I'm apathetic, and
and they didn't have to say thank you to the crowd. They played
exactly all that shit. Exactly.
Played their instruments, dropped them on the fucking stage when it was over, and left.
And that's and some bands have transcended like that. It's just a time that we were at, but I wasn't about that. I was fine. I'll fucking beat the shit out of a stage if I'm feeling like that one night, but the next night I'm going to be putting flowers on it, and the next night I'm going to be half naked on it, and the next night I'm going to be whatever. It's just whatever's there. But at that time, it wasn't really allowed, as far as I could tell. I didn't feel like there was permission culturally to just be kind of like sweet and normal and kind of a weird little dude, like not even trying to dress up and be all Perry Farrell, wild and crazy, none of it. Just, hey, I'm a little creature who made a thing. Do you like it? Would you like to hang out? Like, that's my whole shit. And that doesn't sell well sometimes. People want the drama. And as dramatic as I've been at different times in my life, it's anyway, whatever happened. But I just never felt like I fit in. But at this time in my life, I feel like what a gift I was given to not fit in.
Well, do you feel this way? Because for me talking to you, you're in my eyes like the quintessential, and I'm throwing air quotes up right now, rock star, because of just how important you are. And when you start to hear things and things come back, like Far came back, and you're re-releasing music, and you're re-releasing your early sketchy stuff, and everything is now coming back. Do you find any I'll say the word, do you find some happiness in knowing that what you did deserves that right to come back? Because sometimes music's created and it's just left and it's gone. But now when we're in an age where it's like re-releases and then things sell out right away. And, a lot of times I'll say, it's unfortunate they do a release of 500, 250 of them. Sometimes they're bought by people who just like to have shit, not listen to it, just to have the rarity of it. But the true people who dive in and are like, fuck, I've been waiting for this to come back. And I've been waiting for a band that I've loved so much to get the justification of what they did at one time, where maybe they weren't that big, but now it's getting a second life in everything that you originally created.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, first of all, I just love the way you ask questions and introduce topics. I've got so many thoughts in my head, so I'm sorry to everyone for all my babbling, but there's lots of neat things happening. I don't know what deserves to come back and what doesn't. I understand the nature of what you're saying, and I don't know whether my stuff deserves to come back. It does. Well, I love that, and but to go back to my little Zen of suck thing in high school, like, I know whether or not someone else thinks I suck, I know that I don't. I also know that I'm not Prince or Dylan or whatever. Like, I'm just a fucking creature making some shit. Whatever. Anyway, long story short, I could not be fucking happier that anything I ever did, first of all, that anyone ever enjoyed it, that was ever part of their lives, but that it had anything to do with influencing the way another person expressed themselves, especially musically. It's so exciting for me. I'm singing in a band right now called Sons of Alpha Centauri, and we don't really,
which I think is crazy, because they were just I guess I classify them experimental rock because they really didn't have lyrics or singing before. They were just
a weird instrumental riffy
Yeah.
band to like some dudes in England who just adored music and
said, "Hey, we want the king of emo to fucking sing for us."
well, what they said to me when they wrote to me, and this is a part of my life, and this is where I'm this is all related to what you're saying about sort of things lasting and people caring about them later. They said, basically, if we're going to have a singer on this music, we would really love for it to be you. Are you open to that? And they didn't want to be in a band. They didn't want to, they work day jobs and stuff. They just love making music. And they heard a voice over their music and they thought it could be mine. And they always liked the things I made. And so they said, hey, you're an artist, living as an artist, like, let us support you in that. And, and they kicked me a little money. And they said, we sing on these songs. And I do that a lot with people who it's music no one will ever hear. And I'm happy that theirs is getting out there some, but a lot of music that I sing on, it's just a passion project for someone and they like my voice. And so I love participating in their art and earning a living as an artist that way, where it's just helping someone else make their idea and they got more loot than me. So they give me a little loot and then we keep going. And so the cool thing about Sons, though, is that they were deeply inspired by 90s Sacto, whatever version of post-hardcore, emo, rock, whatever the fuck was happening. They were influenced by that. And to be singing over the instrumental tracks of people who were deeply inspired by this stuff that I was making 20, 30 years ago is such a fucking amazing circle. I'm so happy that the sensibility lasted. I'm so happy that my voice is the thing that they wanted to hear. And similarly, whether it's Far stuff or Iodine, this lovely label that released my last album, just did this incredible re-release of the sketchy EPs along with a lot of other stuff I made between 1999 and 2001, which was this very insanely fertile time after I left Far and was doing early one-line drawing stuff. And this was stuff literally made in dining rooms and bedrooms as demos, never to be released, a lot of it. But I was so interested in my relationship with anyone who cared about the music that, I mean, this is way before anyone was doing this, but I had started, a little website where I'd have downloads for music is like a 99, and I would do sliding scale downloads, and I called it Joe Napster as a joke for anyone who remembers Napster. And so I was just into this conversation. And so this stuff that came out was really, it was just this pretty close-knit conversation of basically anyone who had fallen in love with Far in all of our misfit rock years, would they follow me into this bizarre solo singer-songwriter, indie rock, bedroom, emo, fucking whatever the fuck I was doing? Didn't have a name. There was no name for what I was doing. And it's not to say I'm some like wild, I don't think that. I just think I was being me. And I think we're all inherently really sweet and rad and unique as long as we can find a way to listen to that voice, as it were. So the fact that the sketchy EPs and all this other music that I was making, I started Always New back then as well, which is a crowdfunded patronage thing. People know Patreon now. I was doing that shit in 2000 because I just wanted to make music every month and show it to people. And I would be on tour and I'd be journaling from the road and I would make little web pages. And it was just trying to find a way to keep this connection between us and just enjoy making stuff and trade my time for money. And so the fact that all these years later, these little bedroom recordings that influenced a lot of fucking people. I mean, for all the people that have told me they're influenced by Far, a lot of, especially hard rock artists, I mean, like Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional or Frank Turner or someone, they were really fucking influenced by one-line drawing. They were really influenced by this hard rock singer leaving the band and doing this totally different shit. And it's just more proof that when I'm brave enough to do exactly what the fuck I want to do without worrying about whether people will like it or not, that's the stuff where we find ourselves in that place that transcends language. Someone finds it, it's their frequency, as it were, and we connect. And the fact that it's still being listened to all these years later and influencing artists, I mean, frankly, I hear so much of what I was doing back then in artists like Billie Eilish, and I know Paramore's a rock band, but Hailey does all sorts of stuff, and I know she was really influenced by Far, and fucking Phoebe Bridgers, like all of this sort of like super quiet bedroom indie emo stuff that's what I was trying to get at. And so it's really cool seeing it blown up to, stadium size. And now, Beyonce says the word emo. Like emo is this term. It's sort of like rock star. It's just, it now has nothing to do with music. It's about a state of mind, basically. And usually it's this caricature of a very sad person, which again that's what happens to me when things get blown up way too much, is that
somebody has to figure out how to commercialize and put a label on it.
They take the most superficial things about it. It's how Zeppelin becomes Whitesnake. It's just sort of it's this sort of sad trend. But the point is, to your question, this all has to do with your question and these beautiful things you introduce. I love that these things that I made so long ago are still relevant to anyone. I love that anyone gives a shit about them. I love hearing the influence, or at least imagining that I do, in current pop culture from these little homespun things that I was doing. And mostly, whether it's Far or Gratitude or One Line Drawing or, all New and Original, all the bands
I Is Another.
I Is Another.
Kimura,
it's endless. No matter how old it is now, I can listen to all of it and I really enjoy it. I can hear things I'm self-conscious about. And I love that. but I'm just glad that this shit I made, it would be a weird feeling, frankly, if everyone fucking loved it and I hated it now. But luckily I can listen to it. I can forgive myself when I was being kind of pretentious or overly serious or whatever. I can forgive myself for not recording things a little bit better, more professionally. And I can just love it. And I'm so happy that I made stuff that I can still listen to and enjoy. And that's what's the most important to me. But the fact that anyone else likes it after all these years, fuck. And so the last thing I'll say on all this is that what I think is cool in numbers about this feeling for me in particular is that I'm pretty convinced that I'm the artist who the ratio of fewest albums sold to most care taken with and interest given to re-releases 20 or 30 years later, I think I win. I think the other bands being reissued, that getting all the love, which is great and they're deserving, they sold a bunch of records at one point in time.
Yeah.
For the most part. I never did. Far never sold records. Gratitude definitely never sold records. One Line Drawing, New and Original was kind of a scene thing for a minute, but we broke after like 4 months, So none of it at the time was ever particularly popular. And what I take from that is that the people who fell in love with it really fucking fell in love with it. Like the way you and I are talking about being in love with music. And so that is the most gratifying thing. I often say at shows when someone asks for some deep cut that literally no one in the room knows about for sure. I love playing that for them because I think the older a tune is and the fewer people ever heard it when it was originally released, it makes it that much more important when someone asks for it all those years later. And it makes me more excited to share it with them. And if anyone else likes it, then that's cool. But it's really between me and that person who might be the only person on the planet that remembers that fucking tune of mine on the weird little EP, that no one listened to. And so if I can remember it, I'll always try and play it. And it creates some of those beautiful moments playing a song that I haven't thought of in years because someone else remembers it. So it's a deep honor to be remembered. It's a deep honor to be an influence of any sort. And mostly, I keep coming back to it, but it's just the true thing that if there's anything anyone comes away from this interview with, it's that I am happy I still enjoy it. And I'm happy that I like what I do. And really, it's the only reason I'm here talking to you. Honestly, I would not be here if I didn't enjoy the music a ton, if I didn't enjoy the look, I'm talking to you, a human being. You know, it sounds like more of my songs I've been a part of making, not mine, but more of the stuff I've been a part of making, than 99.999 people on the planet. And so whatever anyone else takes from this conversation, I hope anyone else gets anything from it. But I'm just here because I love talking about art and life and music. And I love being with anyone who ever gave a shit about anything I've done, because I've never been popular enough that anyone's hanging out because it's a scene or because it's cool. It's gotta be because you love it. So I know you didn't want to talk to me because you heard I was cool. People that want to talk to me fucking love something that I've been a part of, generally speaking. And I love that feeling. And it's not the ego part. It's the part where we're sharing again in this thing that we adore. It doesn't feel like a pedestal thing. It just feels like a fun connection thing. So all that is my response to how cool does it fucking feel to have reorders and reissues coming after 30 years doing this. That's how fucking cool it feels.
Yeah. And I mean, so there was this moment, as soon as we set this up, I was able to, my wife, I've introduced her to tons of music over my lifetime, and I've had plenty of people on the show that I've admired, but you were the first person that I came running out of my office and I go, guess who's coming on? And she goes, who? And I sang 5 words. And I go like this. I go, if you ever see her. And she goes, no. I was like, yes, that he's coming on the show.
Hey, I don't know if you're a singer, but I want you to know that you just sang that in the right key. If you ever see her, lie at her, don't just stare. So you hit it in key. Way to be, man.
Thanks.
I fucking love that. Okay, sorry to interrupt your story. This is an amazing story.
No, but I sang that to her and she's like, are you kidding? I was like, no. And I mean, I got her in because when we got together, Gratitude had just basically come out. So it was like I was making her CDs still at the time. So, hey, listen to this on your way to work. Hey, listen to this. And so she still loves all the music that I made her on those CDs. So right. When Gratitude, I have gratitude towards you for, helping me get her into different kinds of music. Cause I was a far fan, a one-line drawing, and you brought up Chris Carrabba. So I had the same moment with one-line drawing as I did with Dashboard Confessional. This is,
nice.
This is pre-internet days, right? So
right.
You could only I'd go to a local record store and I'd be looking through stuff and it's new editions. I was like, one-line drawing, what's that? I was like, well, I like the way it's spelled out. I'm just going to get this because, unless you're really deep in reading liner notes and knowing what's going on. I remember picking it up, putting it in my car on the way home. And I was like, wait a minute. I know this voice. And I was like, oh, holy shit. And the same exact thing happened with Dashboard for me. I saw this and I saw it was on Vagrant.
Oh,
and
that's so
I was
cool.
like, I saw the record label. I was like, oh, I like this cover, Dashboard Confessional. I don't know anything about it. There was no sticker on it. There was no nothing. And I put it in. I was like, this guy's voice sounds fucking familiar. I'm like, he sounds like the Further Seems Forever guy. And same thing with one-line drawing. I was like, he sounds like the guy from fucking Fog. I was like,
okay, you just added to your own awesome question before. That's what's so cool is that I've done so much different shit and none of it's been very popular. So sometimes people find one thing of mine and then they'll fall into this wormhole of oh my God, it's the guy from that band. So I love, and I also want to say that my other real favorite thing is hearing about relationships that in their early days, the music was part of it. I am so happy to have been on mixtapes that people have made for each other. I love when friends bring friends to shows. God, I didn't even touch on this part. Just performance wise, a lot of my shows these days are 40th and 50th birthday parties for people who got into the music when we were both little, but we
Yeah.
grew up together. And or a wedding where I get to go and sing the first dance music or sing at the reception or just sing for the newlyweds because they met and the music I made was part of their love. And the fact that they want me to sing not, and I'm fine to sing At Last, like any Etta James thing, I'll sing forever, like I'm happy to sing a more traditional wedding song. That's cool. And the fact they want me, my voice to do it is remarkable to me. And when it's a song that I wrote and they want that at this apex of their life in love with happiness, and they want to hear a tune of mine. I mean, I know this is what artists do, and I don't mean to sound so naive about it, but it's still like you telling that story gave me chills just now, like of singing the words to her and her knowing it. And then you're talking about that it was involved in your relationship when you met. It gives me all I need in this life. So thanks.
You're welcome. Talking about songs to pick from, do you have a song that now, I mean, you have so many. So, and like you said, I probably know more of your songs than maybe even you do probably at this point.
That's right. That might be true. It might be true. Oh my God. No, I've got a pretty good memory for him, but yeah. No, that's no, you're on. I agree.
Do you have a song or two that you've written that I don't want to say mean the most to you, but basically hold that part for you that you would be like, hey, this is the song that I want to play for you because it's just that important to you, what you've created. Do you have a song like that in your life, of your catalog?
The song that I sing the most throughout my life at different transitional times, I'm not going to sing the whole thing now, but I hold a guitar when I do interviews a lot because I just feel safer when I'm holding one, and it's kind of I kind of love doing a soundtrack sometimes. Anyway, so this time next year, I won't be here. By then, I swear I'll be somewhere. I rely on this. I rely on this. I rely on this. I have sung that so many times over the years when I've been feeling really scared or sad. And similarly, a lot of times I'll say whether you know a song title or not if I'm playing a show. It doesn't matter if you know the music, but if you have a favorite color, year, or a mood you're in, or a thing you're going through, just say that, and I've probably got a song that's going to make sense. And so when someone's going through a sad time, especially when they're scared about the future, I offer this because this song is me. It's called Tides. And it's me trying to say there's kind of two choices about the future because we don't know it, of course. So the choices are basically either to be scared of it, which I am a lot of times, anxious about it, or to be curious about it and just to really revel in the mystery of I have no fucking idea what's going to happen next. I could die. I could be, any million of things could happen. And so the whole thing of just show up, there is time. Just walk in the light. When all you desire will rise like tides. Will rise like tides. Will rise like tides. Rise like tides. And when it hits that D chord again near the end after going through that middle eight, I just feel so relaxed no matter what mood I was in when I started the song. And I've seen it transform rooms and spaces. And So Tides
Yeah.
is,
Well,
I think,
now that I'm crying, I appreciate it. Thanks.
oh, see, that's it. That's it. That's it. And it makes me cry still. And
Yeah.
I wrote this shit in like 92, man. It's fucking 32 years old now.
Yeah.
It's wild. And so there's a million songs I could say, but the minute you asked that question, even started to, I knew it was in my body. It just,
Wow.
it's
I love that.
That song is a constant mantra soothing me, reminding me that this time next year I will not be here, wherever it is that I am. And the "By then I swear I'll be somewhere" is both a challenge to my dreamy self, and it's also acknowledgement of this this desperation to get out of the moment that I think can really ruin life for me and for a lot of people. And that middle eight, that just show up, there's time, just walk in the light, and all you desire will rise like tides. I believe that. I believe it as deeply as I believe anything. When I can just show the fuck up, it's all going to work out. I really deeply believe that. When I resist it, when I try to control it, when I am scared of it, when I run from it, things don't really work out that well when I do that. But when I can stay present. So yeah, that's the tune. That's the fucking tune.
Wow. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. So, well, thank you for that.
Thank you. That was, I didn't know that was going to happen, but that felt really beautiful.
Yeah. And that's I love hearing, because I have my song that is like, it's
What's
my
your song?
Every Mistake.
Oh my God.
Oh, my love, how can I say the things that you'll see some perfect way? I could tell stories of infinite roads, fountains of youth, romantic fables, but instead I'll just say you're gonna make every mistake. Sometimes you're gonna fall flat on your face. Just do it with grace. Know that I'll be there and love you while you make every mistake. My sweetest of ones, you're growing up great, wide open heart, excellent eyes. You're climbing and trying without even trying, without even knowing what I can't explain. Like, when did I get so scared of dying? It never seemed real. We really leave here, and stranger still, though it seems sad, I'm trying to show you that something is here, something so sweet. You're gonna make every mistake. Sometimes you're gonna fall flat on your face. Just do it with grace. Know that I'll be there and love you while you make every mistake. Every mistake. Every mistake. Of course I wish you all of the beauty, a love never ending, a life without pain. And when it seems hardest and there's no easy answers, well, just try to trust me. You're gonna make every mistake. Sometimes you're gonna fall
And so I love when you said it, because I've often said, and in fact, I changed the lyrics to that song slightly in a lot of ways when I was writing, because it was indeed written for my daughter as she was growing up. And I realized very quickly that I didn't want it to be just a song for a parent and child, or a song for a boyfriend and girlfriend, or anything. It's about unconditional love. And it's about, yeah, you're going to make every mistake. Sometimes you're going to fall flat on your face. So just do it with grace and know that I'll
Yeah.
be there and love you while you make every mistake. That, to me, is all we're here to do with and for each other. So I just want to say that, especially because you aren't a parent, I fucking love that that's your song. But please tell me about it for you. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. So for me, I've had some really tough times in my life, and had some tragedies and some things, but it's been that song that I can turn to when things aren't as the way you planned them to be, right?
Oh yeah.
And I can turn it on and I can cry and smile at the same time, which is extremely hard to do. And
It is, and it's the best feeling in the fucking world.
Yeah, to have that emotion and be like, it's that song that lets me know everything's going to be okay.
Yep.
It's there. It could be a setback, but everything right now sucks, but it's going to be okay, because it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. It's okay to have loss.
That's it. It's just, did you know the word mistake wasn't even invented until a long time after we were speaking words? And the word error, which is supposed to mean mistake, comes from the phrase a knight errant, which is just a knight that went on a journey and kind of lost and is wandering the forests. And so it's not like a fuck up. It's just a journey. Even in the language we have, and every mistake was very much trying to be that, because what's more relatable than fucking up? We all have, whether we want to admit it or not. And the more I can admit my fuck ups and see them and forgive them in others, because of course we're all creatures fucking up and doing our thing. I swear to you, if you hadn't said that one, and I would never have guessed that one that you would have said. So bless you for saying that. That is another one that, it's funny. I almost consider it, maybe, I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's somehow almost even a more intimate song than Tides. Tides is a sort of a general meditation on the future, and it's a little more obtuse, I guess. And there's something about every mistake that's so personal. It's got the line about dying, and it cuts right the fuck to the heart of it in this really gentle way. So you gave me some happy tears to send by saying that to me. So this is the way it gets traded back and forth and keeps going round and round. It's so beautiful.
It's one of those beautiful things that it made me come up and be able to talk to people about my journey. And tell people about things that I've done. I've had conversations with younger people. You and I are probably very similar and close to the same age, but like younger people, and when they're struggling, and I try to help them and tell them, I explained to one kid, I go, listen, it's okay to not like your teacher at this moment, right? But you need to pull something from everyone you meet. My grandfather told me, you got to learn how to steal with your eyes and ears, and you'll be fine. And I've learned
what a
from
rascally way to put that. I love that. That's
my old Italian grandfather.
That's so.
You need to be a thief in life, grandson. You need to be a thief in life. You learn. You got to steal. You steal. You're a thief, but you only steal with your eyes and ears, never with your hands.
And I was taking that, man. If that ends up in a lyric, just have your lawyers call me. Oh my God, you got to be a fucking thief in life. Thief with your eyes, your ears. Ooh.
Yeah. So I've lived my life by that, and just sitting back and listening to your stories, and and I've always told kids, I'm like, listen, you're your own best teacher as well, because no one can fail for you. You're the only one that can fail for you. No one else can do it for you. So you're gonna be your own best teacher. So when you do fail, don't let it fucking drag you down.
Yes. And to anyone who cares about this stuff, I'll offer this too, that the way I think about a higher power or whatever, all those God and all those words people are allergic to, or are way too obsessed with, I should say. People freak out on them one way or another. Um, for me, my higher power, whatever God is very simply all of the many things I can't control, which is, spoiler alert, just about everything except my
Yeah.
own thoughts and actions. That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't have any control over anybody else, certainly over not other people, no matter how much I try and control them. I don't have fucking control over them. I don't have control certainly over how the blood is flowing through my veins. I can treat myself well and I can, whatever, but I don't know the mystery of why my heart keeps beating. I don't know about trees and skies and planets, and it's all the shit I can't control. So my only choice in life, as far as I can tell, so I'm saying this to all the kids mad at their teachers, is I get to decide whether that mean teacher is a punisher, something put there to make my life unpleasant, or something to steal from, something to learn from. And it's a very simple, easier said than done thing, but it's given me so much freedom because I can let go of stuff that's not in my control. Like if someone thinks I'm a fucking idiot or not, like that's totally fine with me because I can't control it. All I can control is, do I think I'm a fucking idiot? And if I have behaved like one, then I sing every mistake to myself. If I'm scared of the future, then I sing tides to myself. And I forgive myself and I keep moving. And that's all I want to try and do with the world. It's taken me, I think it's a life's work for me to learn that I can be very, very angry at the world. I can be very angry with myself at times too, but mostly with the world. I've been a very judgmental kind of, fuck, the world sucks, human. And I still think that that's true. I think that we're doomed. I don't think we've done a good job as a species. But I'm not as angry and upset about it anymore. I'm just with it going, is this feeling here to make me depressed? Or is it here to draw me forward into sweetness and really remember what I can control? And that is my experience of this world. And so I love that you're passing that on to younger people. I was a very, very, very angry, lost kid who didn't trust a lot of people. I still don't trust a lot of people, but especially when I was little.
Too. Me too.
Yeah. And the people I could trust that showed up for me are forever in my heart and my mind. Older people especially, who gave me validation, freedom, cool things like, you got to be a thief in life. Just those little gems that keep me going in life. I mean, shit, the chorus to Lukewarm, I never want to say my best days are behind me. That's me talking to my older friend, Tom, who was kind of like a father figure to me growing up. And I was talking about this crazy life he's led. And I was saying, man, what's next? What are you going to do? And he said, I don't know, man. I just don't ever want to say my best days are behind me. And that became an axiom for me. Whatever I do, I'm not going to look back and think, oh, those were the days. Yeah. I'm going to go forward. And so these generational things, I love that you're passing that on to people. And that's, my dad was studying to be a Unitarian minister before I was born and was very interested in, it was more political, I suppose, than theological, but he was trying to kind of fuse those worlds, which is what the Unitarian faith does. It's pretty fucking badass. But I kind of think that what I've been trying to do this whole time is have a sort of church without all the dogma and bullshit. And not even my church. I just want to be a part of a congregation where we're doing this stuff together and where there isn't rules and hatreds and judgments. And it's about forgiveness and it's about telling our stories honestly. And it's about listening honestly and deeply. And there, for me, is anything that was ever fucking cool about religion without all the bullshit that human beings, like, don't blame God for all the bullshit, whatever God is or isn't. The infinity that's always been here and will always be here, that does all the things I can't control, don't blame that shit.
Yeah.
Blame me. Blame us for our ridiculous human software and these bizarre divisions that we've invented, and binary genders and fucking binary races and binary everything, like just chopping up the world into these stupid things. We're to blame. I am to blame for my unhappiness, to circle back to our thing. And so if you can pass that on to a younger human, to anyone, really, anyone at any age, I suppose. But we are talking about younger people growing up and how important it was for me and for you to have people like your grandpa and people who showed us the way. So fuck yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you bring up that point too. I had a conversation the other day where, someone was talking about inclusivity and all this kind of stuff. I said, yeah, it's amazing how everybody wants to talk about exclusivity and everyone being all inclusive and doing all this. I go, yet we continue to draw a line when we when we come up with new things.
Yeah.
So we
people love to
you
say
have to be inclusive. Yeah, when you have to say you need to be inclusive of this, and this, and this, and them, and them, and them, and them. And I'm like, that is complete opposite about what we're talking about right now. And people don't want to hear it. And I'm just like, fuck. I'm like, so we just don't get it. So
no, we don't. We like to say we're inclusive. We don't actually like to be inclusive because that is a very uncomfortable feeling sometimes. And it's just, the crime of affirmative action isn't that it can be flawed. The crime is that we ever had stupid beliefs and agreements set up that were anything else than everyone gets in on their merits, Yeah. And so anyway, inclusivity is an easy thing to say and a very difficult thing to live. And I love that you're trying.
Do you have a band or artist in your life that never lets you down? Kind of like how I explained at the beginning, like when you need something and instead of doom scrolling to find something to listen to, it's just that artist that you go to listen to right away while you're searching for something else.
That's great. The thing that comes to mind is a record called Love Man by a guy called Otis Redding. And I have this old fucked up vinyl copy of it that just has the perfect snap, crackle, and pop that vinyl should. And there's something about it that when I know I've got... This is when I know, as soon as you said it, I was like, so we are the same. Sunday was my mom's birthday. I listened to Otis Redding all day while I was cooking for the entire family. Yeah, all day. It's funny. When I was in the bathroom, I was thinking about this thing I have with Jersey dudes. I don't know whether it's the East Coastness or the Italianness. I got a little Sicilian in my family. But what it is, I feel such a kinship with so many Jersey dudes, almost even more than Boston dudes. I mean, my deep friends that I grew up with in Boston, I'm still incredibly close with them, and I have a real kinship with Bostonians in a different way. But there's something about dudes from Jersey. There's such a kind of there can be this gruffness, but there's this tenderness that's
because we're open and honest. We're gruff, but we're gruff with our honesty.
Yeah,
and we're not ashamed of it. And if you don't like what we're saying, fuck you.
Yeah. And if you do, I love you.
Exactly.
So it's one or the other. Anyway, I love that. So anyway, Otis is a kind of and I love that we share this. Otis is kind of a go-to. Like I'm not here. One thing I don't do that I will say, I love new music. I love discovering new artists. But for me, whether an artist is 800 years old or just came out yesterday, if it's new to me, it's new to me.
Yeah.
So, and I especially don't believe in the idea that just because something came out yesterday means it deserves to be mentioned in the same sentence that something that came out 50 years ago. There's probably a lot of people that have tried to sound like Otis Redding over the years, but it's fucking Otis Redding, So anyway, that's the one that comes to mind. Sinead O'Connor is an artist that comes to mind that always brings me comfort. There's a piece of music. It's an artist, even Prince, of course, comes to mind. But even more than any of those artists, it's more about a moment for me. So there's a piece of music called An Ending, and in the parentheses, Ascent, as in Ascent, acclaim. And it's by Brian Eno, and and I think Daniel Lenoir, I think they made it together. Anyway, it's this beautiful ambient piece of music that always comforts me. There's a Zeppelin thing, a 2-minute little thing called Bronrar, that's an acoustic guitar piece that I often, when I think of the question you asked, I think of things that when I'm feeling really upset in one way or another that soothe me. I hardly ever need anything to like pep me up, but it definitely is.
You need a lullaby. Yeah, you need.
Yeah. That's kind of what comes to mind. But the Otis record is a fucking banger. So that's kind of just for if if I don't want to think about what to put on, I put on Love Man by Otis Redding, and it never ever disappoints.
Yeah, it's so perfect. It's so funny too that you said it was literally 2 days ago. I was cooking all day, and I'm just like,
beautiful.
and the funny part is, especially when you put it on like a Spotify or something, all of a sudden like De La Soul with Otis Redding in the background comes on. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Nice little treat.
This is the algorithm, and sometimes it works with us, and sometimes it works against it. Because I'll bet I could say, to my whatever machine is in my living room, play me some Otis Redding, and I'll get a few tunes, and then sometimes I'll get something cool like De La with an Otis sample, and sometimes I'll get something the algorithm thinks that because I like Otis Redding I will like, and I'm like, no, you got it totally wrong. Anyway,
and that is the hard part of where we are in today's society. I make tons of playlists, especially like when I'm hanging out with my friends. It's like 16 hours long, and a song will pop up, and all my friends will know immediately that I did not put that in there. Especially because like a lot of times it'll put on like a Red Hot Chili Peppers on there or something, and I'm like I'm a non-Chili Peppers, and my friends will just be like, dude, what the I'm like, guys, I'm a never Peppers, just like I'm a never Joel. Like I don't listen to that. Like
now I know we're bonded. Now I know. I have a soft spot in my heart for early Chili Peppers, especially. I think everything up to Blood Sugar Sex Magic I'll dance with, and I have lots of feelings about them. So I love that you brought them up. They're an interesting thing. But Billy Joel, I deeply respect Billy Joel.
I respect him too, but I can't listen.
It's not for fucking me.
No.
And people look at me like I'm an alien when I say it, because I once lost, actually, when I was in Gratitude, we were doing a radio tour, trying to get our song played on the radio. And I was talking with the head of, a very important person, someone that was very important to our future. And I think I pretty much blew a big promotion chance because this guy was trying to say that Bob Dylan wasn't the preeminent, iconic American troubadour. Billy Joel was. And I would not stand for it. So anyway, no offense to any Billy Joel people out there, but it's never going to be on my playlist either. And when it's inserted, I think of my music, especially all this different shit I've done, the algorithm does not understand me. Like
no, it doesn't.
It does not. The things that it associates with what I've done, any number of things, are never the right things. But that for me is a way that maybe it's a reason that I don't have more success, but it's also a reason that I feel really happy in life. I love that a machine doesn't know how to get to what I think is interesting about what I do. Or in fact, a lot of people that love what I do, they have the same experience. They're like, I don't like any bands like you, but I really like you. Because
I don't think I think you, and again, how you hold a spot in my record collection of just your own segment because of everything you've been in, and it's all somewhat different that's a testament to who you are as an artist. And I think a lot of people shy away from that. I've said it many times
it's not
here.
Good
like
business. Talk to AC/DC. It's like, it's the name of the game is consistency. Yeah. To be an artist that is truly going for it and making really different sounding records. I think of Bowie, I think of Zeppelin, I think of Prince, I think of
Radiohead,
Connor, I think of Bjork, I think of Radiohead.
Yeah.
I think of these experimenters, Neil Young, maybe the godfather of all of it, of really making like this heavy, loud record once, and then the super acoustic record, and then an ambient record, and just fucking around. That's what I do. And that's one thing I am very proud of myself about, that I will toot my own proverbial horn, is that, again, I don't know that I'm number one. I do think that I'm a relatively one of one kind of artist. And I don't know any artist over the last 30 years that, between major labels, indie labels, home recording, fancy studios, super loud rock, super soft stuff, super silly stuff, super weird stuff, super mainstream sounding stuff, super no one's ever going to get it sounding stuff, I don't know an artist who's done what I've done. And I feel really fucking proud of that. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I'm not saying I'm worse. I'm saying I don't know anyone who has fucked around as much as I have, and I'm really, really happy about that. I didn't plan it out that way, but I'm happy about it looking back.
Well, I love it because there's so many different things I get to listen to by an artist that I truly admire and love, because
I
I
love
don't
that.
have to listen to one sound. I
Right.
say it 1,000 times. A lot of times bands fall into this. I always put them in a kitchen and they're chefs and they oversalt their recipe because it's just the same
Beautiful.
thing over and over again.
Beautiful.
And
I
it's
love
just
that.
like, it's like, fuck, I get it, guys. You found your recipe, but
Right. That was a
let's,
good song 10 songs
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Like,
let's try something else.
let's try something else. Exactly.
I'm
right.
not going to hate you for it,
No.
and that's my thing. I'm not going to hate you for
No,
it.
and don't do it just to try and be different. If
enjoy
the only
doing it. Like,
sound, if the only sound AC/DC has in their heads is that sound, cool, fucking do that sound forever. But if you're just doing it to stay relevant and commercial, that seems like a kind of a sad way to live.
Yeah.
It's sort of like putting on a suit and tie and going to some job that I'm not even sure I'd like for a million years just because I want to fit in. I just have always wanted to make the noises I've wanted to make, and for whatever it's worth, my brain's got a lot of noises in it, and it just was never, I've never been satisfied with one genre or one voice or one anything, because it just, I'm I'm not saying I'm doing it, but what I'm aspiring to do is to express the totality of this experience as a creature. And it's a life's work, and it's not about ever getting there. It's about the intention. It's about the adventure. It's about I'm a knight errant. I'm making errors over and over and over again.
But I love how you threw the AC/DC. It was Malcolm Young's famous line in an interview. Somebody said, "Hey, do you find it weird that you're 12 albums in and they all sound the same?" And he goes, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa."
Yeah.
He goes, "Fuck you. We have 13 albums and they all sound the same." And got up and left.
That is, I've never heard that anecdote.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it. And yeah, they, for whatever it's worth, again, maybe not again, but I should say, I fucking adore AC/DC. Like, Shoot to Thrill, the breakdown and Shoot to Thrill. Fuck yeah. Saw them do it at Madison Square Garden, actually, speaking of the East Coast, and it changed me forever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm definitely not that, like, for better or for worse. Like, I almost look, there's part of me some days when I'm feeling scared about the future or regretful about the past, I can get to thinking, gosh, I wish I had kind of stuck with far longer. I wish I'd stuck with any number of bands longer, or any style of music longer, any way of whatever.
I'm going to be selfish and say I'm glad he didn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. But in the end, I'm really, that comes from fear, that feeling for me. Again, I don't know. Rage Against the Machine, they were kind of a modern day AC/DC for me. They just did a noise, and it was a fucking glorious noise. And so I don't blame them for doing it. I adore them. And I would be so sad if any artist had other sounds in their head and their body, feelings they wanted to express, and felt so scared or constrained by expectations or who they thought they should be, that they never made those noises. I mean, it's just an incomplete life. So I'm really glad you like it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, because I know your voice, right? And that's usually what stands out. Like, I hear your voice, I know it's you, but that's the thing, that the background music is completely different. Like, you mentioned Rage. I know when Tom Morello shows up on an album. I know when Slash shows up on someone's album. I know, you can hear that. I know, when fucking Nikki Sixx is playing bass on an album. You just know it. Like, they have that sound, but it's always that same sound. But the best part about what you do is not only with your voice, but with your guitar and with the band you're in, you're able to be the same person you are, just with a different sound. And I don't know it's you until I hear that first fucking beautiful note out of your fucking lungs come out.
I'm so happy to hear that, man. I really am. It's just been such a joy to have this. What a great way to start a day. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You are welcome. So I don't want to keep you here all day, because I'm looking forward to doing this again. Without a doubt. I hope you will come back at some point on the show, because
100%.
there's no better. This is my therapy. I
Yes,
don't have
yes.
to. I really the only person I'm paying is the software I use to go through my therapy.
Well
But
said. Well said. I
but
dig that. I dig
so
that.
here's the world's gonna end in 5 minutes. Meteors crashing on the Earth. You can
Yes,
only
yes,
listen to
yes.
one song. There's only one
Mhm.
song you can listen to before everything goes away. What song are you listening to?
I'm back to two instrumentals. It's odd. I know I'm a singer and a songwriter, but the two things that come to mind, and I'll choose one because the question was one. It's that 2 minute piece of guitar music called Bronrar. It's off Physical Graffiti. Believe it's song 2 on disc 2, maybe I forget. It's just a little guitar piece, but for as long as, like, when I made mixes in high school, it was not only the part of it was that it was short, so it could fit in little spaces at the end of the
Yeah,
tape, um, but it would begin and end all of my mixes. It's the most perfect turn life into a movie, help me feel my feelings, but not be drowned by them kind of piece of music. And so that's the one. I think I could listen to it on a loop just as it fades in and fades out. And so I could listen to it fade in and fade out. I think if there's one song I'm doing for eternity, I'll take that one.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's how you started out or ended all
Yeah,
your
it's trippy,
fucking
right?
mixes. That's fucking. It's you created your own complete soundtrack and started it or ended it off the same exact way every single time. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was I miss mixtapes, and I still think of them a lot. One thing I'll send to you, well, two things I want to, and no pressure here, but I do this little monthly thing called Ideas and Always New, and it's music that is never going to be heard by anyone except the people who subscribe to it. And so, if you don't subscribe, I sincerely recommend that, whether it's $3 or whatever you want to do, that you subscribe, because you'll hear this music, you'll hear more thoughts, and also there's this area where I do lots of really sort of more personal things that whatever. And so one of the things I did was, when I was turning 50, I picked a tune that in some way represented sort of one for every year of my life. And it didn't need to literally come out that year, certainly, or I needed to have heard it at that year in my life, but a kind of a biography in a weird way of music that raised me. So whether or
I
not
love
you
that.
join Always New in Ideas, I'm gonna send you that. Do we have each other's email and
Yeah,
stuff, or we do? Okay,
that's how we were
okay, good. I always
taught.
forget if I'm sure we're CC'd on something, but if we'd been writing back and forth to each other.
Yeah,
So I will find your email in there, and I'll send you just this playlist, just so we can enjoy it.
yeah.
But
I
anyway, it
appreciate
brought
that.
that to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that. Um, the last question before I move on to our final segment will be guilty pleasures. Like, what do you
Mhm.
get tons of enjoyment out of that people would be so surprised to hear that? Like, and I'm sure there's really nothing you're going to say that I'm going to be surprised that you fucking like, but it's like if you say to me, Baby by Justin Bieber is your favorite song, like that would be a guilty pleasure and a surprise. But like something along those lines that you get tons of enjoyment out of, that I would be really, really surprised to find out.
Well, I I really I really fucking love Beyonce. Like, I was literally the only person in the movie theater for her most recent. I went in like the mid afternoon on a weekday to see her movie and dance around on acid and like be super happy. So I really love Beyonce. And I don't know whether, I couldn't even possibly call it guilty pleasure, but she is really cheesy. No, it's a fucking guilty pleasure. It is. It is.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
so cheesy and so mainstream in so many ways, but I just adore her, and she's very adventurous as an artist. The even guiltier one that I will say out loud, for whatever it's worth, is there's a ballad called "I'm with You" by Avril Lavigne, and it is the schmaltziest, like, most cliche 3/4 ballad, 6/8 ballad, whatever it is. But I was in a really dark night of the soul. I was sitting in my car. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Hannah was really little. My kid was really little, and things, I must have been feeling really lonely and sad or something. But "I'm with You" came on the radio, and I just sobbed to it, and that song has just had it. Like I will, like I'll put that up against any piece of music anyone ever made. Like I know it's just what it is. But yeah, anyway, that's my
I
guilty
love that.
pleasure is an Avril Lavigne ballad from the
I
90s,
absolutely fucking love
early
that.
aughts. Anyway, there you go. This was
Wow.
a fucking blast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's do it more. Keep in
we-
touch in all the ways.
we absolutely will. So I don't know if you have to pull up a phone or something, but we end our show with our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things we're listening to right now that you'd like people to check out.
Great. I love that. I will pick up my phone and just sort of see what I can cull from that. I literally have a playlist called Lately where I put things in.
Nice.
And well, yeah, the things on Lately right now are 3 incredibly innovative CDs trying to teach me Spanish by a girl called Michelle Thomas. So if anyone wants to fuck around with learning Spanish, that's the neatest way I know of. There's a tune called 1,000 Years by my friend Michael. He's called Michael Rudolph Cummings, and he's a really fucking cool artist, goes a lot of different ways. I've got some ambient shit. I really love a lot of ambient sort of non-musical music. So there's one called Nature Drone Forest Sound by a entity called Infinite Noise that I've been getting a lot out of. And then the most traditional thing, at the beginning of the playlist lately is a thing called JSM, which are my initials. That was a little improvised piano piece that my friend Zach made and sent me. That is really sweet to hear. And the bulk of my lately playlist outside of the Spanish is the soundtrack to Stop Making Sense by Talking Heads, which obviously is a 40-year-old piece of music and film. But if anyone has not heard it or seen it, especially seen it, fucking do not stop right now. It's the greatest music ever got. So there you go.
Nice. Now, mine for this week.
Yeah, what do you got?
First one I have is a band called No More Lullabies. The name of the album is called Whirlpool.
Great.
They're fuzz indie rock out of Florida.
Great.
The next I have is a band called The Whiffs. The name of the album is called Another Whiff. Power pop
Amazing.
out of Kansas City. It's along the lines of I don't know. I don't want to overuse it, but like a Big Star. Like they're just a really good power pop that just, nobody's heard of. So
that's a beautiful name to evoke. So that's cool.
Yeah. And last but not least is a band called Rocket Penguin, and Penguin spelled PENGWIN. The name of the album is Polar Opposites, and it's got like this poppy emo-ish indie tinge to it, but it's just something that caught my ears and I couldn't stop listening to. So those are the 3 for this week for me.
Take that. I'm gonna take on. You're so good about that challenge. I'm gonna take on I'm gonna try and have 3 different things that are really more traditional music to answer, because I just kind of put on whatever I'm like. The thing I'm listening to the most in the past 2 days is actually RuPaul's autobiography on audiobook. So it really has nothing to do with music at all. But again, back to what we were talking about earlier, it's all music to me.
All music.
Anyway.
I gotta say, Jonah, this has definitely been, I honestly, I'll tell you as soon as I hit stop record though.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that it's the second best part of my day, and you'll find out why right when we're done recording this. But if what I didn't have happen earlier didn't happen, this would 100% be the greatest thing that's happened to me in the past couple weeks. So I don't want to diminish it, but again, as I started off, I just warm, heartfelt thank you for what you've done for me. What you continue to do for me and what you mean to me. It's hard for me to put it into words because you are so special to me in so many ways. And I just want you to know that truthfully.
I can feel it. Like sincerity travels. Doesn't matter how that we're talking over a thing into Zencaster, into whatever, like I feel it. I'm with you. I feel you with me. And I'm so happy that I was part of a happy day. I'm actually even more grateful that I'm the second best thing to have happened. Yeah. That's almost somehow cooler.
When I hit stop record, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
All right, cool. Well, to everyone out there, I love you. And if you got anything out of this, JonahMatranga.com. That's where I'm at. It's where so much music is. Help keep me surviving and singing. I love you.
Listen, I tell everybody all the time, please, the artists that we have on, go find their stuff, buy their merchandise. Listen, you can stream it, that's fine, but buy their merchandise because it keeps them creating music for us to love forever. So please support your artists that you love.
Support your local artist. If you want more art in the world, support it. There is no stronger vote in our culture than $1. So,
well, everybody, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to everything that Jonah Matranga has been a part of, and that's a lot. So you got a lot of work to do, but go out, listen to it all, and have a great fucking time.
Have a great fucking time.
I dreamt that you were alive. Really alive. I dreamt of your eyes. I dreamt of your eyes. They were just open.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.